Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupaha Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shrivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Manojavam Marutatulya Vegam Jitendriyam Buddhimatam Varishtham Vatatmajam Vanarayotha Mukhyam Shri Ramadutam Shirasa Namami Kujantam Rama Rameti Madhuram Madhuraksharam Aruhya Kavita Shakham Vande Kuntilam Apadam Apahartaram Dataram Sarvasampadam Lokabhiramam Shri Ramam Bhuyo Bhuyo Namamyaham Dakshine Lakshmano Yasya Vame Cha Janakatmajah Purato Marutir Yasya Tam Vande Raghunandanam. In the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 2, Sri Krishna, when he is instructing Arjuna, right in the middle of speaking about who a Sthita Pragya is, Krishna takes the conversation to a warning, an almost a slow motion picture of how. Can everyone mute themselves, please? Krishna describes how the downfall of a person very quickly how quickly a person's downfall manifests. And to that, he gives the description, Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsam Sangasteshu Upajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha Kamat Krodho Vijayate Krodhat Bhavati Sammoha Sammohat Smriti Vibhrama Smriti Bhramshad Buddhinasha Buddhinasha Pranashyati. That as one meditates on or contemplates on the objects of the senses, dhyayataha vishyan, very quickly there develops a severe attachment. The attachment sangha is that I want to be able to enjoy this object. And then he said, Sangat Sanjayate Kamaha. Now, this is a verse that I have spent a lot of time thinking. I don't think I know the whole of it, but there are certain things. He says, Samjayate. Samjayate means almost that it happens immediately. As soon as there is attachment, there is lust. It's not like I have attachment now and over time, lust develops. And Kamat Krodha Abhijayate. Abhijayate means you look at anger face to face. And we're going to see that unfold in the conversation between Ravana and Sita Devi. Actually, it stops being a conversation anymore. And Ravana is going to bark some severe warnings on Sita Devi. Sita Devi, with a very sweet, gentle, Shuchi Smita, pure smile, chastised, lambasted Ravana. She called him all sorts of things. She told him, "You're a fox, you're a rabbit, you're useless, you're nothing in front of Sri Ramachandra. You are this haughty, audacious fellow that is worse than a dog that steals food from a householder." She told him, "You're so arrogant about your powers. Actually, you're powerless. You're not even man enough. And you're comparing yourself to Ramachandra. How foolish can you be?" And with that blade of grass, she told him so many things, pretty much that you, your entire Rakshasa clan, your Lanka, everything is going to get destroyed. Obviously, for Ravana, he has never heard any woman speak to him like that. So we can only think what must be happening inside him. And so that's what chapter 22 begins with. Sitaya vachanam shurutva parusham rakshasadhipaha pratyuvacha tatha sitam vipriyam priyadarshanam. The picture, the scene Valmiki is painting for us is Ravana is looking at Sita Devi. She is priyadarshanam, looking very, very charming. Yet, Sitaya vachanam shrutva parusham vachanam sutva. He heard the very harsh words of Sita Devi. So he's looking at someone who's so elegant, charming, beautiful, attractive, completely shattering his heart because she's so beautiful. He cannot have her, but from her mouth are coming sharp, insulting words. And who is she speaking to? Rakshasa Adhipa. He is the king of Rakshasas. So Ravana pratyuvacha. Pratyuvacha means responded, retorted, replied, vipriyam, in a very unpalatable tone and unpalatable words to Priyadarshanam, who's very attracting. So that's the contrast. He's madly in love with her. He lusts for, I should even say love. He lusts for her intensely. She's very pleasing, but she has thorns. She's spitting missiles at him. And then Ravana says to Sita Devi, "Yatha yatha santvayitya vashyah strinam tatha tatha. Yatha yatha priyam vakta paribhutas tatha tatha." His first words out of his mouth is, in principle, Sita Devi, in principle, yatha yatha shantayitva. Santayitva. The more agreeable a man becomes to a woman, vashyah strinam tatha, the more she comes under his control. This is part of courting or flirting. The more agreeable he becomes, the more she becomes dominated or under his control, vashyah. However, you are such a person, yatha yatha priyam vakta, the more sweetly I speak to you, paribhutasta, you become even more inimical to me. So all the old formulas that he had used to woo and charm women is not working with Sita Devi. And he says, samniyachhati me krodham tvai kamah samuttithaha dravato margam asadya hayan iva susarathi. I am actually controlling my anger towards you because kamaha samuttita. I am so much uh, in awe and love of you that I am actually very angry, but I'm holding it back, just the way a very good chariot driver, Susarathi, Hayan Iva Margam Asadya Dravato. Horses that are straying off the path, a good charioteer can control them. Honestly, Sita, Vamah Kama Manushyanam Yasmin Kila Nibadhyate Jane Tasmin Stvam Tasmin Stu Anukroshaha Snehasya Kila Jayate. When a person loves another person, then in their heart, Tasmin Stu Anukroshaha, they have nothing but compassion. Sneha, sense of friendliness. That's what comes in their heart. Even when Vamaha Kamaha, the tendency is that that person behaves in a way that is anti, or behaves in a way that is challenging a loved person. So I love you, but you are disagreeable. However, because of my affection for you, I feel bound. Kila nibadhyate. I'm bound that I don't express my anger because I have only loving feelings for you. Etasmat karana annatam ghatayanti, karanannatvam ghatayanti, varanane, vadarham, avaman arham, mithya pravarjite ratam. He says, the way you are behaving with me, tam ghatayami, I feel like completely killing you. Actually, you deserve to be killed. Vadarham, avamanarham, and you deserve to be insulted. And this thing, whole tapasya that you're doing in one cloth and lying down on the ground and fasting, this is all a show. Mithya pravarjite. He's still trying to entice her that this is all a show. Really, you want me, but you're making a show of it, and you are making me so upset that I feel like killing you. Parushani hi vakyani yani yani bravishimam. All the different words that you have used to insult me and speak harshly to me. Teshu vadho yuktasva. For each of those words, you deserve to be killed. Maithili darunaha. Daruna, the very, very heartless words you've spoken to me. Maithili, for that, you deserve to be killed. Eva muktva tu vaidehim ravano rakshasadipaha krodha samrambha samyuktaha sitam uttaram abravit. With this kind of anger, the king of the demons, full of anger on Sita Devi, finally gave her an ultimatum. Dvau masau rakshayitvu me yo avadhiste maya kritaha tatah shayanam arohamam tvam varavarnini. Oh, charming, beautiful Sita Devi. 2 months are remaining of the ones that I had pronounced. He had told her, I give you 12 months to change your mind. 1 year. 2 months are remaining. In these 2 months, if you don't climb on my bed, Sita, if you don't do that, then this is what is going to happen to you. Dva abhyum, dvav abhayam urdhvam. After 2 months. Tu masabhyam of 2 months. After 2 months, bhrataram mam bhartaram mam anichatim. If you don't accept me as your husband, mama tvam pratarashanam arthe arambhe mahanase. I will have you for breakfast. I will have my cooks cook you for my breakfast. If I cannot enjoy your body this way, where you will be on my bed, then I will enjoy your body by eating your flesh for breakfast. Prarthana ashane. Prarthana, pratara, sorry, not prarthana. Prataha means first thing or morning. Ashanartha. Ashana, to eat. Asha is to eat. Prartha ashe, I'm going to eat you for breakfast. Tam tarjayamanam sampreksha rakshasendra janakim deva gandharva kanyasta vishedur vipulekshanaha. When Ravana tarjayam, this finger is called tarjanim because you chastise someone or you warn someone with this finger. Now, all of us have been parents, and parents tell their children, final warning. So Ravana, tam tarjayamanam sampreksha, all the Deva Gandharva women that were there, when they saw sampreksha, Ravana chastising and warning Sita Devi with an ultimatum like this, Vishedur Vipulek, they saw Sita completely in Vishada. We also know what Vishada means, lamentation, or this sense of sadness, Arjuna Vishada Yoga. So these women also became Visheda. Vishedu means all of them became very sad and aggrieved and bewildered at Ravana's anger. And Oshtha Prakarair Aparaha Netra Vaktrair Vaktrais Tatha Paraha Sitam Asvashayam Asustirjitam Tena Rakshasa. Tena Rakshasa, sorry. So some women that were there with Ravana became very aggrieved and their eyes began to tear. Vipula Ikshana, with their big eyes, they showed sadness. Oshtra Prakarair Aparaha. Some women gestured with their lips. And some Netra Vaktrais, some women with their eyes gestured to Sita. Sitam Ashvasayam. They assured Sita, don't say anything, don't do anything, with their eyes. Sita, please don't make it worse for yourself. Sutarjitam Tena. Sutarjitam. She was severely rebuked. When Sita saw that all these women are quietly gesturing to her, shh, don't say anything, don't make it worse for yourself, this fellow is going to kill you, she took it as a great opportunity to further chastise him. She told him, oh Ravana, there is nobody to give you good advice. In fact, you think whatever you're thinking is correct, and that's the only way. But there is nobody who dares to give you good advice. However, your ministers cannot give you good advice because you're not listening to them. In this world or in anywhere in the universe, you're bereft of any good advice. And she calls him Rakshasa Adhama. You're the lowest of the Rakshasas. He thinks he's the best, the supremo of the Rakshasas. She calls him Rakshasa Adhama. We are used to the word Naradhama, the lowest of mankind. Adhama is when a person, because in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, there are 4 types of persons who do not worship me. And then he says, in that there is the Adhama. Adhama is, so there are 2 categories. One who doesn't know what is good for them, and therefore they do all activities that are worse for them. They act in their against their own they act against their own welfare. Sorry. And there's the other category who know better, who have heard scripture, who have heard from Guru, and yet they act in a way that is against their own welfare. They are called adhamas. So she says, Rakshasa adhama Ramasya bharyam amita tejasaha uktva nasi yat papam kva gatasya mokshaye. For you, there is no escape, because that Ramachandra has amita tejasa, incomparable power and teja and force in him, that you will not be able to stand, and you have actually no way to get out of it. And how is it? Yatha driptascha matanga shashascha sahitau vane. Tatha. You are no better than the firefly. Oh, I'm sorry. This verse is not about firefly. Yeah. She says, just look at yourself. You think you're this powerful fellow. Actually, you're no better than, or you're as good as a tiny rabbit, Shashaha, who is taking on or challenging the greatest of elephants, Matanga. What happens when a rabbit challenges an elephant? The elephant will just step on that rabbit and finish it. So Ramachandra is like an elephant. And you, in comparison, are like this useless rabbit that has absolutely no power. Are you not ashamed of insulting Ramachandra, especially in his absence? If you're a real Veera, then you will be face to face with Ramachandra and then speak like this. You've not even come in Ramachandra's vision even once. You're such a wretchful fellow. You're wretched. In fact, I'm even wondering, after you're looking at me so lustily, why your brown eyes haven't fallen out of their sockets. Why does your tongue not just fall off when you speak such lusty words to the consort of that great Ramachandra and the daughter-in-law of that great Dasharath Maharaj? And here's one of my favorite verses. Asandeshat turamasya tapascha anupalanat natvam kurmi dashagriva bhasma basharmaha tejasa. By my tejasa, by my power, Ravana, Dashagriva, she's calling him, you have 10 heads, bhasmarha, you are fit to become ash. And I can, just by glancing at you angrily, make you a pile of ash. But I'm not doing it because I'm going through a vow, tapascha anupalanat. I'm in a vow. And what is the vow? That I have not received Ramachandra's permission. Asandesattu. He has not given me the sandesha, the message that I can kill you. This is the only reason you're alive. That you are a product. You're alive means you're a product of mercy. And you are thinking that you kidnapped me from Janasthan and brought me here. Let me tell you, let me break the news to you. Na apahartum shakya tvaya ramasya dhimatah. Under Ramachandra's watch, and who I am, na apahartum is shakya. It's impossible for you to kidnap me. However, vidhistava vadharthaya, Providence has ordained that you have to be killed. Vihito natra samshaya. Of this, there is no doubt. So actually, Ravana, you did not bring me here to Lanka. I brought you here. It has been ordained that I will come here for your end. You're this great warrior, brother of Kubera. You may possess a big army. Then why did you not face off with Ramachandra? You're scared, right? You're insecure. You don't have the guts to stand in front of Sri Ramachandra. Hearing what Sita Devi sing, Ravana's eyes became bigger, brighter, and started with such cruelty in his eyes. His eyes was rolling with anger. Ravana looked like this big block or big mass of dark clouds, strong arms, strong stout neck. He walked as if he was this lion. His tongue was blazing with anger. And he appeared even taller and bigger when he became like this. And he was wearing red garlands and clothes that were smeared with all ointments and perfumes. And he was wearing all this jewelry that was shining. He was wearing a nice black string around his hips, and he looked like Mount Mandara that was encircled by Vasuki at the time of the churning of the milk ocean. And he looked like Mount Mandara was standing, that big and imposing personality. And all the red flowers on his two sides looked like red Ashoka trees on Mount Mandara. And his earrings were shining as if the sun had arisen on the horizon. Looking at Vaidehi, he was breathing heavily like a snake. Avekshamano Vaidehim Kopa Shankara Kopa Sankarta Lochanaha. His eyes were almost throwing sparks of fire. Uvacha Ravana Sitam Bhujanga Eva Nisvanam. He was hissing like a snake. And he says, Sita, you're following this vow of chastity that you're only Ramachandra's beloved is all wrong. I will destroy you just the way the sun destroys darkness at dawn. How much ever thick the darkness is throughout the night, the sun, as soon as it arrives at the horizon, all of the darkness goes away. And saying this, Ravana turned to the she-demons that were there, the demonesses, who all had very fearful appearances. Previously, we talked about one of them had one eye, some had two eyes, some had many eyes, some had ears in the face, in the front, some had ears like the cow, some ears like elephants, ears like camels, etc., etc. Each one of them was so scary looking. And the philosophical understanding is that the mind, when it gives orders to the senses become so enlivened and restless to go and meet the sense object that they are completely under the mind's dominion. And so whenever the mind has to challenge the no that we say to it, then the mind unleashes all these senses upon our determination. And in most cases, unless the sadhaka is completely sheltered at the lotus feet of the Lord, that living entity is for sure going down a path of a very rough ride. So he tells the demonesses, Yatha madvasaga Sita kshipram bhavati janaki tatha kuruta rakshasyaha sarvaha kshipram sametya. All of you get together. All of you collectively, somehow or the other, mold Janaki towards me. Yatha madvashaga, that she should move towards becoming submissive to me. And how? Kshipram, very quickly. Make sure that you do this quickly. And how are you going to do it? That's up to you. Pratiloma, anulomaishcha. You can be very pleasing, coax her sweetly, gently, or you can threaten her. Pratiloma. I don't care. You can use persuasion, or you can be very contradicting or contrary. You can give her any reward if you want, or you can give her any punishment. Dana adibihi. Dana adi, sama dana adibihi. Bhedai. You can do what? You can use sama dana danda bheda. I don't care. Somehow or the other, move her mind towards me. Make her agreeable to me. Srila Rupa Goswami gives us a very contradicting instruction. Yena kena prakarena mana Krishna niveshayat. Somehow or the other, use whatever means you like, but make your mind go towards the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna. In this case, Sri Ramachandra. And the mind is telling the senses, Yena kena prakarena. I don't care what strategy you use, turn her desire to me. Make her submissive to my commands. So this is the battle between the living entity and their own mind. So repeatedly Ravana barked out all these orders that make Sita agreeable to me. And Ravana was in full anger and passion, and so he threatened Sita again and again. Rakshasendra punaha punaha prati samadishya. Adishya, he ordered. Prati samadishya, he very, very strongly threatened and ordered her again and again. Why? Kamam nyu paritatma. He is completely a slave to lust. At this time, when things were becoming really worse, and Sita was shivering and trembling, and Ravana was in such a condition as if he would just eat her up right away, raw. Then there was one Rakshasi by the name Dhanya-Malini. Very quickly, Dhanya-Malini intervened in the situation. And what did she do? She gave Ravana a very tight embrace. Parishvajya Dashagrivam idam vachanam abravit. As she was embracing Ravana, she said, Hey Ravana, Maya Krida Maharaja, you enjoy with me, O king. Sitaya kim tvanya. Why Sita or someone else like Sita? Vivarnaya kripanaya manushya rakshaseswara. That wretched Sita is after all a human being. It's not worth enjoying. I am a Rakshasi. You enjoy with me. This Dhanya Malini is actually the savior. She saved the situation that when the mind is so agitated for lusting after some object, then one way to distract is to give the mind something else in the moment, so it doesn't follow, because the mind is very flickering. It just wants enjoyment. If it's not this one, something simple, and the mind gets distracted for that moment from that topic. It's a way. So Dhanya Malini intervenes and tells Ravana, oh, you know, this Sita is not fortunate. She has not been blessed by Lord Brahma to enjoy with you all this great opulence and luxuries of your powerful arms and be embraced by those arms. What's the use? When she is not desiring, and here I am fully desiring to be with you. When Ravana heard Dhanya Malini's words, he started laughing loudly. Ha! He became happy, turned around, and walked away from the situation. And as he walked away, the whole earth was shaking. And Ravana entered his own palace as the midday sun was blazing. So he had come when the sun had arisen, and he was tormenting Sita until noontime. All the Gandharva ladies, the daughters of the demigods and Nagas, whoever was there, they also turned around, followed him back into his palace. Having chastised Sita Devi, who was still trembling with that whole experience, because Sita was fixed in the path of dharma. Ravana was enticing her to cross that line of dharma and step into adharma, because he was overpowered with passion. So he entered back his mansion. So the lesson from this is, we use the word dridhavrata, determination. In the moment, it can be that the mind can be very, very, very strong. But a person who remains determined that I want to serve Sri Ramachandra, I am Sri Ramachandra's, I will not give in to the demands of the mind. And by the way, that's hard. It's very difficult, because the mind is like this demon who's threatening and warning and enticing and coaxing and cajoling and all of that. Such a person can even make the great demon mind turn away and let them be. And that is that moment of truth. That is the sadhaka's success. Now, great personalities like Sita Devi and the great acharyas do it very effortlessly, because they don't have to put an effort to fight with the mind. Their mind is already controlled. So they're called Goswamis. There doesn't necessarily have to be sannyasis, but Goswamis. For a sadhaka like me, this is a lesson Sita Devi is teaching, that stay the course, that mind will relent at some point. Rather than me relenting, if I stay the course, my mind will relent. Excellent lesson for a yogi by the simple behavior of Sita Devi, that she did not say yes, she did not acquiesce to Ravana's demands, his begging, his threatening, his warning. She did not acquiesce. And Ravana had to turn back and go away. So with that, let's see if there are any comments and questions. I have a request: when you sign in, please remember to mute yourself. Or in the beginning of the talk, the host can mute everyone by default. Okay, any comments, reflections, questions, objections?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is Krita. Thank you for the nice class. It was really insightful to see how brave Sita was. She was not backing down, although it says that she was shivering and I don't know if the verse said she was afraid, but her body language at least shows that she was shivering out of fear. Yeah, but it's really nice that she put a kind of a good verbal fight. The question I have is when and she's chastising Ravana that he doesn't have anyone to give good advice, and even Maricha was saying that when Akampana advised Ravana to kidnap Sita, Maricha says, "Who in the guise of a friend is acting like your enemy, is desiring your destruction." Um, uh, how do we discern at which advice is good advice and which advice is not?
Well, we apply three different parameters to it. One, if the advice is coming from scripture, it's good advice. If the advice is coming from a trustworthy person, it can be good advice because they have your welfare at heart. And third is common sense. We know what might be good for us. We know that. And so and sometimes common sense doesn't work so well. Then we have the other two as well. So any advice that is in the direction of Shreya, then it is, although the immediate circumstance might be difficult or hard, or it may be looking like unpalatable, but if it is Shreyaskaram, then it's good advice. For example, there may be an urge to say something, and when two people are fighting and arguing, one says something, the other retorts, then the other person, and this can get escalated. Sometimes it's good to just keep quiet, because talking can make things worse. At that moment, it doesn't mean you never talk or communicate. At that moment, it may be to just be quiet and say, well, let's talk when my emotions are not so high, because right now I'm very upset. I can talk better, I can communicate better when I'm not upset. For example. So you got the three parameters.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes,
Radha. Yes, Prabhu. I have two questions. One is, you were talking about being fixed in one's dharma. So I can think of a few situations.
I'm sorry, what did I say? What dharma?
No, like how Sita Devi was fixed in her dharma.
Yes.
So I'm thinking of a few situations where it seemed like say my dharma in two relationships, maybe as a daughter and as a sister, it may clash in a certain situation.
Mm-hmm.
And I may not know how to really understand that, what dharma to follow in a particular situation, when you have this side also is dharmic in some sense, and that side also is dharmic in some sense. I don't know if I'm able to put my question.
Yes. So when there is a clash of loyalties, where you want to be kind and gentle and loving to one side and to the other side, but it is almost, they feel that they are opposite to each other.
Yes.
In situations like these, The first thing is to hold on to the true unchanging dharma, meaning situate ourselves first in our connection with the Supreme Lord. That's first. Because the worldly sense of relationships, they have a tendency to morph and change and by the circumstance. So first is, am I connected to the Supreme Lord? Because that connection will give the wisdom. Esham satata yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam. So how to conduct the dharmas that are of this world, that wisdom comes from being connected in or situated in the dharma of the connection with the Supreme Lord. Sri Ramachandra or Sri Krishna or one's Ishtadeva. That is where the knowledge will come from, or the wisdom for how to navigate this where there are seemingly conflicting or dharmas conflicting. First is that connection. And then you navigate from that wisdom by communicating or speaking and acting accordingly with each of them. You are my sister. I have great affection for you. But don't hesitate to say what is your idea of what is really good for them. Or on the other side, you said father, perhaps as a daughter. So as a daughter, you say, who am I to advise? But here is what is in the best interest of the family as far as I can see. Of course, I've simplified it because I don't know the complexity of things, but the principle is first our own ground that we are standing on needs to be solid. I'm not saying it's not solid in your case. I'm using a language that's the first thing to look for. Make it solid, make it strong, feel connected.
Thank you, Prabhu. Yeah, I'll think more about it. Yes, thank you very much. And just another quick question, if I may. So here, like the Rakshasis, they're when before hearing the class, when I was thinking about Rakshasis, just as an assumption, I was making that because these are Rakshasi ladies, they must be like, very jealous of Mother Sita being there and Ravan being so enamored by Sita that he's like kind of not looking at them even. But here, like I'm seeing that how they were they also had so much compassion for Mother Sita. They were gesturing and they were trying to save the situation. It kind of like was little eye-opening in one sense, and yeah, but I just wanted to see if you have any more things that you want to say on that.
Yeah, sure. I mean, are they jealous? Of course they are jealous. He just told Sita Devi, all of them, including Mandodari, will be your servants. They will massage your feet. They will bow down to every order that you make. Yet the fact that they are gesturing to her and they're scared is for us to appreciate Valmiki's way, for us to make us appreciate the intensity of threat, the anger and warning Ravana is, or the ultimatum Ravana is giving Sita, that even Rakshasi women got scared and wanted to protect Sita. That is the intensity of his anger. The very fellow who kept telling her, Priye, I love you, I love you. When she said no, see the intensity of anger. So it is very clear, it is not love. That is the nature of lust, that if it is not fulfilled, the person becomes so angry that they will be willing to kill and hurt the very person they professed that they said they would love. Wow. Even Rakshasi ladies, even the jealous ones sided with her. But they didn't have the guts to antagonize Ravana, so they gestured with their lips and eyes that, my gosh. That is how scary Ravana was. What was Sita? Fixed. What did she do? She didn't keep quiet. She took that as an opportunity to further lambaste the fellow. That is how fearless she is. And she is fearless, going back to your previous question or the context, she is fearless because she is strongly connected to Ramachandra. This is that Abhaya. We follow Srila Prabhupada, whose name is Abhaya Charana. Abhaya Charana Aravinda. That Supreme Lord, whose feet are always the place of fearlessness. So with that fearlessness, she didn't care. The same Prahlad Maharaj. This Ravana in his previous life was Hiranyakashipu. Now, interestingly, if you look at Hiranyakashipu and Ravana, same fellow, previous life and this life, the karmic map continues. He was extremely angry. He was ready to kill his own son because there was one person, a little boy, who said no to him. The entire universe said, yes, Hiranyakashipu, we bow down to you. That was not enough. One boy said no. And his entire anger was because he could have said, one little fellow, who cares? No. Here also, Ravana has hundreds of extremely angelic Miss universes in one sense. They're Miss of whatever each planet, Miss Bhuloka, Miss Bhuvarloka, Miss Maharloka, whatever, Nagaloka, Miss Nagaloka. All of them are his consorts, agreeable to him. Once Sita Devi said no, and look at the intensity of his anger and from that lust. He could have said, okay, not one woman, I have so many. That's what Sita, why me? Go after all your wives. They're happy to be with you. That's the nature of lust and this guy's anger for Sita Devi or towards Sita Devi, just for one person. That he brought upon himself the entire destruction, not only of his life, but Lanka, his wealth, everything got plundered. But she was fearless. Bhajahure mana Shri Nandanandana Abhaya Charanara Vindare. Okay.
Wow, thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Haribol.
Please explain below the senses.
Yes, go ahead.
Prabhuji, first is just appreciation for Sita Devi. The courage which was in front of Ravana is very inspiring to see, and the principle she talks about, like I can burn you to ashes, but I'm not having approval from Lord Ramchandra. So it was like how the power of chastity is. So that is very inspiring to see. My question is on the point you made about when the mind is flickering, so give the mind something else. So how in principle a sadhaka can apply that, like when we are angry, so go for a walk, or when we are lustfully attracted, then give something to eat or something like that, or how the in principle a sadhaka can apply that and resist the temptation of mind.
Oh, good question. I'm glad you caught it. It's not like you give one thing to distract the mind. The idea is the mind by nature is easily distracted. All it wants is some satiation, some way of being fed. And so change the situation, change the circumstance if you can. Like you said, go out for a walk or, sing a song, whatever, I don't know. I'm not sure whether giving it food or eating something then becomes a habit and one eats for comfort. But there are ways in which the mind can be distracted to something else. Now, as for each one of us, in this case, Sita Devi didn't deploy, but Dhanyamalini walked in and you saw Ravana's anger immediately. That was Dhanya Malini's intervention to just take care of the situation at this point. It was getting too intense. What did she do? Oh, Ravana, and embraced him and said, oh, enjoy with me. I'm there. He laughed. He turned around and went away. So part of a sadhaka's repertoire are a set of or is a set of strategies. Each one of us knows the nature, the inclination, and the profile of our own mind. We know it far too well. What works for me may not work for you. What works for you and me may not work for a third person. But for each one of us, we need to create or come up with strategies that help deflect the insurgence of the mind. Whatever that strategy is that works for you, such that the mind can peacefully, we peacefully can go on feeling connected to and strengthening our shelter at Sri Ramachandra's lotus feet. That's for each one of us. We know what works for us.
Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Anyone else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. This is
Yes,
Nritya Gauranga.
yes.
That's pranam. Prabhuji, I have two questions. One is when Ravana is so angry, blazing like a fire, and how could Dhanya just go and embrace in that situation? Because even in our family, when we see when somebody is very angry, people even get afraid to even go near, and especially he is Ravana. I mean, nobody can stand his anger, especially.
Yeah.
So, yeah, how, and also as you were describing, the Rakshasas were one-eyed, three-eyed. I mean, so much of disformity in their features. How could she dare to, in the assembly? I mean, there were other many hundreds of queens following Ravana. How could she suddenly dare to go and hug? I mean,
How could
it
she?
looks. How could she
Well,
dare to go suddenly and hug Ravana? So I trying to
yeah,
understand that.
yeah. I mean, it is scary, but somehow she intervened, and Ravana didn't. His anger got satiated for that moment because he was very lusty. He came first thing in the morning, opening his eyes. He was still intoxicated. He came because he's been waiting for 10 months. And we just assume that it's not that he has only come once in 10 months. The fact that he came early in the morning and Hanumanji is witnessing this, we can say with fair confidence that he's been doing this perhaps every month, even every week, perhaps even every day, completely tormenting Sita Devi. We get a glance from one day because Hanumanji was there. But that's what she's been dealing with. So his lust is just growing and growing and growing, and she has been saying no to him. But what does Ravana want? The pleasure of the company of this carnal desire. And at that point, Dhanya Malini embraced him. Valmiki says Parishadvaja. She embraced him. That touch and that words of, oh, Ravana, enjoy with me, for that moment calmed him down a little bit. Because he got what he was looking for, not from the person, but something.
Okay. And what is the significance
Remember,
of this love?
Samadhana Danda Bheda. In this case, Sama. Sama means to appease. Right? You want, let's say, for example, I feel like eating ice cream. And I'm just hamar the other ice cream. And ice cream is not available. It's 10 o'clock in the night. The ice cream store is closed. But I need ice cream. I want ice cream. And in that, if I'm all cranky and this and that, something cold at that time or whatever, banana milkshake, or I don't know. That may not satisfy my desire for ice cream, but it'll calm me down for that moment. Okay, I have something cold and sweet to get to.
Yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always have food related examples, but you got that.
I got it, bro. Thank you. Yeah. And
It's just the immediate instant gratification for that moment. So he can turn and go away.
Yeah.
Until he'll come the next morning. But unfortunately, there won't be a next morning because Lanka will be burnt. But
so, what is the significance of his laugh? I'm understanding this. Maybe you can correct me. That he laughed and went, right. So why did he laugh? So I am understanding that um, he's he's like indirectly telling Sita that so many women are dying for me, and you're the one. I'm offering everything to you, and you're still not bending. You're still very strong on your decision. So how foolish are you? Is that what he's trying to tell through his laugh?
So the verse is Eva muktastu rakshasya samutkshiptastato bali prahasan megha shankashah rakshasah sa nyavartata. It turned around and went. Prahasan megha sanghasha. He was like this big, dark, fierce cloud. Prahasan. He laughed happily. Why? Because his desire at that moment got satisfied. He got the embrace of a Rakshasi. Second, look at what the way she spoke to him. She didn't say, you don't deserve Sita. He would have become angrier. He said, Sita doesn't deserve you. Lord Brahma hasn't made her fortunate enough to enjoy with you. Such a ego trip for him.
Yeah.
And your arms are so attractive and strong. They're meant for a Rakshasi like me. Here I am. You enjoy with me. What is there with Sita? It's like human being. No fun. So she satisfied and sweetened and nicely nurtured his ego. So he laughed.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So she put Sita completely down and glorified Ravana in front of Sita so much that he was very happy.
That's what ego is. It doesn't matter what.
Thank you, Prabhu. And can I ask you one more question?
Yeah.
And why was Sita shivering? Because even though she talked so boldly,
I mean, she's a gentle lady. She's a gentle lady. She's not going to say, "Oh, really? Tie her sari." And they said, "I am going to be this." Oh, what's going on? I'm viewing Vrajeshwari Pran's whiteboard. She did not put out a kshatriya, to take on arms. She's just a gentle. I mean, imagine being tormented by Ravana, and he looks like Mount Mandara, Vasuki tied around his waist, red arms. I mean, it's scary. While she's scary, she has full resolve. Take a child and a full-grown adult. When Prahlad Maharaj was being harassed by Hiranyakashipu, obviously the little boy may be shivering, but inside his heart, the resolve is very strong. That doesn't change anything. It just gives a picture. We are reading. So we have to have Valmiki is drawing a picture. Sita Devi, Ravana, and yet appreciate what fearless resolve she has against him. He's telling her, in 2 months, I will eat you for breakfast.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Thank you, Prabhuji.
All right. Any final burning questions, or we can stop here? Okay. Thank you very much. May Sita Devi, our shining light and example, give us the strength and resolve of the onslaughts, to withstand the onslaughts of the mind, especially when we say no to it. And then the mind gives a signal to all the senses. Each one of us has one or more than one that are particularly slippery slope, that we take Sita Devi's example, we pray to her and get strength from her to have a similar resolve to not go down that rabbit hole. And for that, her grace that comes, and following her is Sri Ramachandra's grace, and following them too is Sri Lakshmana's grace, and serving all of that is our Sri Hanumanji, who's sitting there looking and always eager to help. And may we have the help of all Sita, Rama, Lakshman, Hanuman ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Okay.